really well.
What was the last thing you said to your father, who you eventually made contact with? It was a difficult conversation, clearly.
Well, yeah, he was in and out of my life.
Yeah.
And I saw him for the last time alive at 18, and it was at my 18th birthday party. My missus was there, my friends were there, and as you do as a teenager, I didn't pay him that much attention. It was just like, yeah, all right, Dad, busy with my mates. I didn't ever think it would be the last time I'd see him alive.
What did you say to him?
It was 5 years later when I had actually, having already said as an adult that I wasn't going to be the one to reach out and make contact this time, because it always came from me or my family to make contact after he disappeared. And I did. I made myself vulnerable because I figured I was going to become quite a bitter person if I lived with that weight on my shoulders. I wanted to gain some resolve, and as an adult I wanted to sit down and tell him how much it upset me as a kid. So we arranged to meet the day after Boxing Day. I phoned him on Boxing Day to arrange where we were going to meet. He lived miles away, he drove, and I didn't. And I said, oh, are you going to come and see me? And he started to stutter, and he said, oh, you know, Jackie, his wife, and the kids, his stepchildren, are really excited to see you. And I went, what? Like, this isn't about me coming to play Happy Families. This is about us finally sitting down and talking about everything that's happened. So we can move forward and actually have some sort of relationship, hopefully, which was all I wanted.
Yeah.
And he started to stutter, and I just went, you know what, if I ever can see you again, I'm going to knock you out. Because I couldn't respond rationally anymore. I was so angry. And I was entitled, but I was entitled to that anger.
Yeah.
People always say to me, do you regret it? Hypothetically, yeah. You know, but realistically, I was entitled to feel the way that I did. And I just got to a point where I put myself on the line again, you know, and he let me down again.
You were fed up with knocking on the door, saying, come on, let's do this.
Yeah.
And he just...
And the worst thing about it was, I wouldn't have phoned him if he was an horrible person. I wouldn't have cared. It would never have hurt if he was nasty, but he wasn't. He was a good man.
Yeah, just making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was your nan then who broke the news to you in 2008?
Yeah. It was a Wednesday morning. She come in and woke me up and just blurted out, Stephen, your dad's dead. He's hung himself. And, I mean, there's not a nice way to say that, is there? She couldn't have done it any other way. My initial response, I mean, I just went through every feeling you could possibly imagine. I was angry, I punched the wall up, you know, for a second, I hate it, why, you know, the hatred that ran through me for a second. And then I, you know, he's a coward, I went through all it, and then once I settled down, I quickly realised that, you know, I couldn't be angry anymore. Because he must have been in such a... You know, at first I wanted to understand what was going through his mind for him to have done that.
Yes.
And I quickly realised that the only way I'd ever understand that is if I was in that position, and I don't ever want to be. And I also thought about the pain and the suffering that he must have been going through to do that. I just felt so sorry for him.
It's a desperate thing to have to be told.
It wasn't the best day of my life.
No, and the swing from anger to pity, was that over time or within 2 minutes or
2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, it was that quick.
Yeah.
It's a profound swing, isn't it?
Yeah, and then, you know, over time I found out more things about his life because I never got to have a conversation with him really where I got to ask him anything about his childhood, unfortunately. But as I found out more, I've begun to, you know, they call it a perfect storm, where there's a string of events.
Yes.
That can happen that contribute to someone, you know, eventually taking their own life, and he suffered pretty much everything he can.
Is there a lot of your dad and maybe your mum or your nan in your music then, in your lyrics? Did you find that therapeutic? I mean, I don't want to be kind of...
for me, because I didn't start writing music until I was 18. I didn't really have any kind of creative form of expression before that. I'm a terrible drawer. My handwriting's awful. Actually, all my school reports used to say that I was a good reader, but I needed to improve my handwriting. That never happened. But it was quite cathartic. It was great when I found a way of getting what was inside out. And for me, that's what songwriting began as. And it helped me make sense, because when things are in your mind, they can be quite a mumble-jumble, but when you put them on paper, they have structure, and it's a lot easier to understand sometimes how you're thinking when you get things out, which I suppose is quite important for people to realise. You know, it's that age-old thing, you know, you bottle things up and you take that as a strength, but it's not. All that's ever going to do is make things worse.
And then you take a song like Read All About It, which, as we were playing it there, I was looking at the audience, and so many of them were mouthing the lyrics. It's become one of those great songs of recent times. Where did that come from?
That came from my evil stepmother. Yeah, I shouldn't really call her my stepmother, because she was never any kind of mother to me. But after my dad passed and after the success of my first album, I hadn't really spoken about it. There was a song on my first album, Goodnight, which was about me losing him, and my great-grandmother, actually. But I'd never really spoken out about it, and I was asked in an interview what effect his death had on me. And I said, you know what, it made me sort myself out, because I realised I had to become a hell of a lot more self-aware, because I didn't want to end up in that position. And that was all I said. And then she sold a story to another paper saying that I should have known she didn't want her husband's death spoken about, her husband, not my father. And I just thought, you don't even reach out to me. You don't even talk to me. I never really had a great connection with him, but throughout, I was the one that ID'd his body. We all went to the hospital, and she was going to let the woman who ran the shop where he worked at walk in to ID his body because she couldn't do it, and I thought that was an insult. I hadn't seen him in 6 years, and the first time I saw that man was cold, with bruises around his neck on a table.
Yeah, that's not easy.
No, not at all. And yet she's got the audacity to take the one thing that I've done good.
Yeah.
You know, I was a naughty little
Yeah, you've said that, and you're right about that.
And I'd done something good for myself. I turned my life around. Something that, you know, I would hope my dad would have been proud of, but I'll never know, because he never got to see me at a show or hear any of my songs. Yeah. And she took that one thing and she tried to jade it. I just thought, what a horrible, horrible woman. And that was where the inspiration from the song came from.
I can get the feeling that you're still pretty raw about what she did.
How can you not be?
No, I'm not. It's not a judgment.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
do you know
it's
what
a
I mean?
comment.
But I can't.
And I can understand where you're coming from. So, do you think you're going to always feel that way, or do you think you'll work your way out of that? Because you seem kind of angry about her.
It's not. Well, do you know what? It's just who she is.
Yeah.
Is she ever going to change who she is? I very much doubt it. So, am I ever going to look at her any differently? Definitely not.
Can we talk about happier things?
Yes.
Good. Because
I think they'll be glad.
No.
Well.
I mean that because your book it goes from heavy, but it ends, I think, on a very upbeat note. Yeah. Okay, before you got to go to happy, it's a kind of happy. You survived a brutal stabbing. How's that for happy? That's an Irish happy, by the way, Stephen.
Yeah.
Like if we get a close up of your neck, look, just we don't have to get into great big detail, but what happened to you?
Just an unprovoked attack in a nightclub. Someone started on me, and I stood up for myself. If I hurt anything, it was only his feelings.
Okay.
And that was that. I thought it was over and done with. And then 5 minutes later, I heard a bit of ruckus. I looked that way and got stabbed in the neck with
a
broken
stitches?
bottle. 38 external. It was, as you can see, it was both sides of the bottle. The only thing that stopped it from going right through was my jawbone. It went right through my salivary gland. Somehow managed to miss all of the mechanics. I like...
Blessed.
Yeah, proper lucky. Like, Pete, and the thing was, I had the lucky tattoo 2 weeks before. People think
the tattoo came before the event.
People always say, oh, so what, you got lucky, the lucky tattoo because you survived. No. When I come out of surgery...
That's so silly,
When I come out of surgery, they'd put... Because the scar hadn't widened and it hadn't healed, so the surgeon put the tattoo right back together. And I went, oh, you've made it look wicked, thank you. And he went, no. He went, thank you. I went, what? He went, well, at least I knew where everything was meant to go.